Hey, this is John Elefante, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
John Elefante.
Yeah, promoting his new album, The Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Also formerly lead singer of
Kansas for a couple albums in the 80s.
Yeah, well, hey, fantastic interview. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to it.
All right, good night.
Good night. John, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Jeff Untied.
John, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, thank you guys.
Hey, well, first of all, we are just so excited to have you on tonight, and thank you for the correspondence. This is going to be a great pleasure to have you on the show tonight, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. This past April of 2022, you released your most recent solo album, The Amazing Grace. Can you talk a little bit more about the writing and recording process for this new album?
Oh, gosh, how long is this interview? You know what? I've pretty much learned to condense it, so let me give you the condensed version.
Sure.
I was not planning on making a record at all, because making a record for me is a really laborious process, because I write it, I produce it, I sing it, I play on it, I engineer it. Mm-hmm. It's just a very, especially during COVID, when when we couldn't get together in person.
Sure.
I had to do everything myself. Now, of course, I farmed out the drums and some of the guitar and bass and some other things, and strings, live strings. But, I was making this record alone in my home studio.
Sure.
Doing everything via, channels where we could talk to each other and I can hear the guitar player, what he was doing, and I can instruct him what I wanted. So it was almost like being in person, but I need to rewind a little bit and saying that I was not planning this record. My last date before COVID really locked me down was I did a show in Palm Desert, California, and I think it was March 9th. But prior to that, it was hit rewind again. But this is an important part, and I probably shouldn't have done so many rewinds. But there was a guy that kept sending me songs for his. He wanted my critique on his songs. A guy named Frank Boxberger. Wonderful, wonderful, genuine Christian man that I just loved to death. Anyway, he kept sending me songs, and they were okay. I was thinking, this guy's, he's all right. I would send him back some critique because he was very sincere about it. And he keeps sending me more stuff, and each one he sent me got better and better. I'm thinking, man, I kind of dig some of this. So anyway, now we fast forward a little bit. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, doing a show, and I have 2 days off before I have to be out in California that will eventually collide with that March 9th. I was out there that long. This is the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
So I emailed them back. I don't know if it was email or private message on Facebook, and I said, look, I got 2 days off in Scottsdale. Why don't we get together and see if we come up with something? And he was like, yeah, that'd be great, man. So got a hotel. I had 2 nights off, went to his home studio. We met, hit it off really well, and didn't finish any songs, but came up with some really cool ideas. And I'm thinking, wow, what are we going to do with this? What is it? Why am I here? And he said, I don't know either. And I had this idea to call it the Phoenix Project because it really wasn't a John Elefante record yet. And we were just going to finish 5 songs and leave it there and call it the Phoenix Project. You know, we came up with a bunch of ideas at his house, and some darn good ones. Actually, the first song that we had started was "We Will Be Fine," which is the first song that we wrote on the record.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it was nice. I mean, it's like way better than I expected, and it was something that ordinarily, if you guys know me, it was something I would never do. My wife was saying, you would never go to some stranger's house in Scottsdale, Arizona, and, you know, write with them or, you know, whatever. And I actually enjoyed it, man. This guy was such a perfect gentleman and a great Christian man, and he knew everything that I'd done in my career, and he wasn't intimidated by that. But still, it's now still the Phoenix Project with 5 songs. And I got home, and when I got home, I started working on some of the ideas that him and I had started. And I had finished one of the ideas, and that's the song I told you earlier, "We Will Be Fine." And then we went on to another song that I'd finished, and he helped me with the lyrics. So the record just kept growing and growing and growing. And I said, I guess I'm making a record. And it was still called the Phoenix Project at that time. And he called me one day and he said, John, this is a John Elefante record. I don't know if you know that or not. I said, yeah, I've been thinking that. So we changed it to a solo album for me, which I think was more suited to, you know, the what it was. And I said, dude, we're going to need a budget, man. I mean, I can't ask all these guys to, you know, play for free. And as it turns out, COVID had me at home anyway, right?
Yeah.
Just like you know. It had us all, you know, locked down and all this. And he said, I'll pay for it.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I tried to talk him out of it.
Yeah.
And I was stunned. I was like, I'll pay for it. And then it went on to being he said, why don't you just make a whole record? I said, well, that's going to be a bigger budget. He said, I'll pay for it. Yeah. And you just see how God worked in all this. It was really just an act that I've never seen before out of anybody willing to just do something that they felt like God was telling them that they, you know, were commissioned to do. So to say the rest is history, to condense it, I guess that's what I'll say. The rest is history.
Oh, fantastic.
Sure. I think I'll save my favorite song because I think it was Eric's favorite song too, and he'll talk about that one in a minute. But I'm just going to ask you about City of Grace. Can you talk a little bit about, is there a story behind that song?
City of Grace was also one of the ones that we worked on at Frank's home studio in Scottsdale. And it was a little undernourished. And I had to shoot it with some vitamin D and you know, just kind of pump it up. But he helped. He was involved in the lyrics and just the inception of the song. And it just became one of the songs that he was actually a bigger part of that song than I think any song on the record.
Nice.
Very good. Time Machine is my favorite. I think it's Jeff's favorite track on The Amazing Grace. Can you talk a little bit more about the creation of that song? It's electrifying to listen to.
You know what? Time Machine is the last song we wrote for the record. We needed one more slot, and I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off. because I knew what kind of song I wanted to take the 10th slot, but I hadn't written it yet. And I put it off for 2.5 months, and I kept calling Frank and saying, "Do you have anything? Because I don't have anything." And he'd send me some ideas, and I thought they weren't quite upbeat enough because I thought this slot deserved a really upbeat rocker.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down to my studio forcefully. I wasn't in the mood. I'm usually never in the mood to write, but I just kind of do it. I went down to my studio, picked up my guitar, and started messing with some ideas. And I laid down a click track and kind of just a guide drum beat, and came up with a and then I added some like the horn samples to it, and I said, "I'm digging this, man." So I just had the first riff, and I kept part 2, part 3, part 4, and then the Beatle part in the middle, and then the Beatle part in the end. And I sent it to Frank when I was almost done with all the music, and he goes, "This is killer, dude. This is our 10th song." And what I want to tell you about what Time Machine means, it has nothing to do with Back to the Future.
Right.
Time Machine is that thing in your brain where humans are just accustomed to looking back and looking forward.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it could be to your detriment.
Yeah.
You look back and, I'm getting older. I mean, it's hey, it's life. I mean, you look back and, I see these pictures of me when I was 28 and 35 and 42, and I go, man, I really look good then. It's like, I don't quite look that way anymore. And, so we're always looking back, and we worry about the future.
Mm.
So we've always got this constant time machine going off in our head. Okay, this is what I've got to be doing tomorrow. Yesterday is I have regrets, I have joy, I have things that I wish I'd done different. So that's what Time Machine is about.
Yeah, it's a rocker of a song.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got to take the next one? Yeah. Jeff, you taking this next one?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about the song And When I'm Gone. Can you talk a little bit about that song?
That was written about my mom, who passed away a while ago. And I've always wanted to write a song about, just what she instilled in me.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't really grow up in a Christian family because my mom was abused by a very, very, very legalistic, religious upbringing. And I use the word religion instead of Christianity because there is a difference, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she was abused. I mean, if she didn't go to church 6 days a week, she was going straight to hell.
Mm.
And she'd always walk that line where she feared. So I think that's the reason why she never pushed any kind of Christianity down, my two brothers and me. But I couldn't ask for a better mom. I mean, she always just laid out, just a perfect path for us. And I mean, and when I'm gone, will you remember me? I think my favorite line in that song is, oh gosh, help me out, Jeff. No, it is when she says to me, and give what you've learned away.
Mm.
In other words, what she's instilled in me, give what you've learned away. Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Oh, yeah. I just remember when I was listening to it, it made me think of my parents. My parents are, starting to show signs of age, and we went to dinner the other night, and I've never heard my dad talk about getting older, and he's like, we started talking about that, and then I heard this song today. I was like, oh, that was yesterday.
I mean, you got to cherish these times, but
yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
And
as you look back at your time as a recording artist, how do you feel as though your songwriting has evolved over time? Do you feel as though your songwriting skills have matured, or do you feel like the maturity was already instilled in you at a young age when it came to songwriting?
Yeah, I would agree with that portion, what you just said. I think my songwriting's definitely matured a lot. I learned a lot from Kerry Livgren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's. I think each record that I do is different. I try not to do the same record every time, but not to compare myself to Sting because I don't even come close, but I like the way Sting is still Sting, but each record is different.
Yeah.
You know, he's singing about different things, but I think the similarity is his voice, and I think that's what carries through on my records is it's still my voice. So no matter what I do, it's still my vocals. So that's where the similarity is. You know, I've matured a little vocally. I don't, even though I can still hit high notes, I don't try to do the vocal calisthenics that I once used to do. You know, I just try to keep it in keeping with the song and not, you know, let my vocal calisthenics, you know, outdo the song.
I guess this is kind of piggyback off of the last question is that, you know, when it comes to recording, your music has your recording methods, I guess with technology being what it is, and it's always evolving. How do you approach recording now opposed to maybe 10, 12, 13 years ago?
Well, that's an easy one because 12, 13 years ago, we had budgets. You know, and sometimes my budgets were, you know, they were pretty large. And I was able to get 6 or 7 guys in the studio to do tracking dates when I had all the songs written for 5, 6, 7 days. I mean, that's a lot of money to have those guys cooped up for 12 hours a day.
Yes.
For 6 or 7 days. I mean, that's $50,000. And, you know, back in the day, we had the budgets to do that. We don't have them anymore. So you've got to make a record however you can do it. I mean, there are some budgets out there, but they're quite small. So you're seeing artists do it, you know, in their home studios and by whatever means they have.
Well said.
So it's drastically changed in that area.
Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you a little bit about your brother Dino. You guys have had, you know, quite the history of not only producing but playing together and writing. How does that relationship work as far as songwriting?
Well, Dino's sort of out of the business. He got really burnt out on. He really got burnt out on CCM.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the reasons why. But so he sort of left the business, but he never left me.
Yeah.
He's my brother. So Dino's a great sounding board for me. Every time I have a song halfway finished, I'll play it for him.
Oh, nice.
And he'll say, "Try this, try that. Your vocal sucks. You can do better." And who else could tell you that but your brother?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'll argue with him saying, "No, you suck." But no, he's a great sounding board, and he's got a great ear and a great sense for what works. And so he's still involved in what I do, but he's not involved in the business anymore.
Oh,
okay.
Very good. When it comes to playing live shows in support of the Amazing Grace album, what can we expect from you for the rest of 2022? When it comes to live music this summer, what do you have planned for it, for your listeners and fans?
Well, the rest of 22 is going to be taken up by a group that I tour with called Voices of Rock Radio.
Oh.
Which is me and Kevin Chalfant, who spent a little time with Journey. He was in The Storm and 707. He's a fantastic singer. Me, him, and Randall Hall from Leonard Skinner, and sometimes we'll go out with Derek St. Holmes from Ted Nugent or Charlie Hune from Foghat. And so it's what it is. We use the same band, and it's an ensemble of singers, and it's become wildly successful. So, you know, I don't anticipate doing much touring this year on The Amazing Grace, but I want to see what happens. I want to see what offers come along, you know?
Absolutely. We're really excited. We were hoping that you'd come around our area.
Where are you guys at?
We're up in the Quad Cities, Rock Island, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, right on the Mississippi River.
Almost booked a gig in Iowa yesterday.
The Amazing Grace has been released through Escape Music for the European countries and Deco Entertainment in North America. Can you talk about the releasing of the album while using two different labels in two different continents?
Well, it's the reason I did that is because Escape knows the European market very, very well. They know how to farm it. They know how to brand a record. And they have a relationship with all the publications up there. I mean, I've been doing a ton of interviews with people in the UK and some print interviews with Japan. And we just secured South America, by the way. But, this Khalil Turk that works at Escape Music is very, very, very good at farming the European market. He knows all the right people. He's been doing it for years. Now, Deco Warner Brothers has been around a while, too, and they really understand the North American market, and they've been doing a great job. They've hired a publicist that's a friend of mine, named Brian Mays. That's just, this guy's wearing me out. I mean, seriously, I have 2 or 3 interviews a day.
Nice.
And I've got to set my alarm, or I forget. It's that age thing, guys. You guys are probably in your 20s or 30s, right?
Oh, no.
50.
We're right behind you, not too far.
Okay. But anyway, it's no, it makes a ton of sense to use 2 different labels.
Yeah.
I mean, the CDs look slightly different, but they're the same.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Jeff, you have the
And
next...
I want to say this, too. We are coming out with a vinyl product as well.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. One of the questions I had, just with vinyl, is there any, sometimes they've been saying there's like a backlog in making the vinyl. Have you felt that?
There's a major backlog, Jeff, 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Just to even get in the door.
Wow.
That's how popular vinyl has become.
And so few manufacturers available to actually create the album.
I'm still a CD junkie, so I'm glad you're still releasing on that format.
A lot of classic rock fans, they still like something they could put their hands on.
Yeah.
Very much so.
A download is just kind of an invisible thing, and they want to put their hands on a CD, and they want to look at the liner notes, and they want to see the pictures, and they want to hold something in their hand.
Yeah.
It's amazing that way, and I think that's why vinyl is so popular. They just like seeing this big giant cover with the artwork big and all the the lyrics that they can read without their reading glasses. That's not a put down, because I wear them too. But it's great. I'm so stoked that vinyl has come back.
Oh.
I have a turntable in my media room here, and my son and I sit down and listen to old Supertramp, Kansas, Genesis, Beatles, Pink Floyd. I mean, Dark Side of the Moon sounds like Pink Floyd set up in the living room.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mean, vinyl really, if you ever stack a vinyl record next to a CD, you really hear the difference if you A/B it big time.
Originally, The Amazing Grace was scheduled to be released in 2021. I imagine the COVID pandemic didn't help things when it came to a delayed release date. Can you talk a little bit more about what caused you to kind of be released at a little bit later than what you anticipated?
Well, the delay was firstly my fault, because we had to finish the record, and I was slow to do it because live shows started coming back to me.
Yeah.
So I was starting to do live shows again with Voices of Rock Radio, and that slowed me down a bit. I'd be out for 3 or 4 days, and I'd get home, with my kids and my family, and I didn't feel like going down to my studio and doing anything. So that slowed me down a little bit. But it is what it is. I mean, and I told you how long that last song. It didn't take that long to write, but it took me that long to get off my rear and do it. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to songwriting, but it's one of the most rewarding, fulfilling things in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, to hear something made from nothing. when I picked up my guitar that day to write Time Machine, I mean, it was like sitting in front of a blank canvas with a brush in your hand, just going, let's see here. Yeah, that's the way it is.
Jeff, you got the next question.
Yeah, well, I guess that kind of leads into my question a little bit. So, as a vocalist, you've had multi-platinum albums, and as a producer, you've had Grammy nominations and Grammy Awards. Which one's more fulfilling for when you hear that, the song successful for yourself, or when you've helped another artist along? How's that work for you?
They're both of them are it's quite they're different, but I would say the most rewarding thing for me is like I'll just harken back to what I just said, is hearing just having something go from zero to nothing,
yeah,
and then you sit back and listen to it, and you just say, wow, man, a week ago there was nothing, and now here's this song. For instance, the song on the record, the title song, "The Amazing Grace,"
yeah,
which I think is a fantastic song.
yes,
who I co-wrote with Mark Lee Townsend, who's been out with DC Talk forever as their guitar player. And just hearing something go from zero to nothing, and then sitting back when it's all finished and mixed and listening to it and just going, wow. I mean, it's just so. Even though I said I hate the process, and I do, but the reward is pretty remarkable.
yes.
Oh, so cool. Let's talk a little bit about the cover art for The Amazing Grace. It gives me a very Miami Vice feel to it. A little bit of 80s art. Can you talk a little about the creation of that album cover and who did the artwork? What's the story behind it?
A guy in Europe actually came up with the artwork. If you look at the artwork closely, you'll see the 3 triangles.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 triangles, which, I kind of depict as the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay.
And, but we had a hard time coming up with, we have an alternative cover that I'm going to release someday that's really, it's pretty funny. Because at first, I've always dug Pink Floyd's artwork.
Yeah.
As you can tell, this is a little Pink Floydish.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always dug. I mean, remember the guy where he's shaking hands and he's on fire?
Yes.
I mean, what was that about? What did that have to do with the record?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But it was. I mean, look at Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, if that record wouldn't have been a hit, you'd look at that cover now. It would probably be in the 10 worst covers of all time.
True. Very
But
true.
because the record is, sold a couple 100 million copies, it has all this intrigue now,
Yeah.
But anyway, the guy that did the lyric video to the song Stronger Now, I hit pause one day on that, and I took a screen grab of it. I said, there's our cover right there. Well, I just hit stop. And I sent it to Khalil Turk in Manchester. I said, there's our cover, man, right there. That's it. I said, okay, let me get to work on it. And that's kind of how it came about. But the alternative cover, I'll tell you guys what it is, because we're gonna release it someday. The alternative cover is a guy in the ocean on an inner tube with a leisure suit on. Just kind of a 9-to-5 kind of a regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on an inner tube, but it's not an inner tube. It's like the orange inner tubes that they rescue you on.
Yes.
And he's surrounded by hungry sharks. And The Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
There you have it. But you have to see it. It makes more sense when you see it. But
Nice.
I thought it was really funny, but nobody else did.
All right. So I know it's getting close to dinner time, so we have one last question for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. So rock and roll has always had that mystery and mystique from years past of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It wasn't until social media kind of let the cat out of the bag that there's really not much mystery in rock and roll anymore. That we don't have a Led Zeppelin anymore, or Pink Floyd, or a Kiss, or anything like that had a mystery to it. Everybody's on social media. Everybody knows everything. As an artist producer like yourself, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the mystery of rock and roll, or do you like the accessibility of what the internet has brought to rock and roll?
Personally, and this is probably going to age me, and some of your listeners might say, "Oh, he's just an old dude." I loved the mystique of the old days, when bands were faceless, because the intrigue about a band. Like, I'll never forget when I was young and I got that first Foreigner record. You never really knew what they looked like. MTV wasn't cranking up yet, and there was a mystique about them. Same with Kansas. There was just these guys that made this music that was amazing. Yeah. And when MTV came along, it just kind of let the cat out of the bag. Okay, this is what they look like. This is what this is what they do. And I mean, that was all cool for marketing, but I mean, I can appreciate what's going on these days, and I like the fact that social media allows us to do what we're doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
With your podcast. But man, one of you guys said you were 50. Do you remember the days when you just used to look at an album cover and not really know much about the band?
And that's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
It's the double-edged sword. If we didn't have the internet, we wouldn't be doing this with you right now. But I miss the days of opening up the album and the liner notes and reading and letting my mind go to a different place.
Exactly. And I really miss that. I mean, I really do miss that. But as we know, it'll never come back again. That's for sure.
That is for sure.
Yeah. I mean, now you burp in one county and it's in the next county, but.
So very true.
Well, I'm going to sneak in one last question. Sure. if you got the time. Probably wouldn't behoove us to ask at least one Kansas question. So for your first album with them, the Vinyl Confessions. I'm a big Queen fan and stuff, and I see Roger Taylor was sang backup vocals on 3 songs. Is there a story behind that, or like how that came about, or were you in the studio when that happened? Or
he sang on more than 3 songs.
Oh, okay, cool.
5 or 6. Roger Taylor was good friends with the drummer Phil Ehart in Kansas because they had toured a lot together. And I believe that Roger had a place in LA as well as England. And Phil invited Roger down to do background vocals. And he told me the morning of, he goes, "Oh, by the way, Roger Taylor is going to come in and do some background vocals for us." And so it's him and me on Play the Game tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
And as soon as he started singing, because I always take one headphone off when I'm singing so I can hear myself in the room and I can hear the other singer or singers. And as soon as I heard his voice, I went, "Wow, there's that high voice in Queen. There it is." And just the nicest guy, man. And I was just so awestruck of the guy, I mean, because I'm a huge Queen fan.
Yeah.
And especially their background vocals, man. I've always tried to study what they did and duplicate it, and I've never been able to. I think it's just the way Freddie Mercury kind of orchestrated everything.
Yeah.
And he put Roger Taylor on the top, and I don't know who was doing all the baritone stuff, but he would double up octaves and do all this really cool, all these cool chord patterns vocally. And Roger Taylor was a big part of Queen's vocal sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely was. We're out of our allotted time. Is there anything that you would like to plug or promote that we did not cover tonight?
Well, I do want to say you can find the record both European and North American on JohnElefante.com. And I also want to say that even though I didn't plan on making this record, I'm very, very, very glad I did. And I don't think it happened by accident. It definitely didn't happen by accident. God said, "Look, you lazy bum, you're gonna make a record, and I'm gonna help you to do it." And he definitely did, and you guys have the result.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's a great album.
Well, this is how things are going to work out. We have about 4 weeks of episodes released for you. So we're going to look at about a month before this episode is released. Jeff, the editing wizard over here, he'll get everything cleaned up for us. I don't think we're going to be able to get the microphone drop that when we first started this interview to get that out, but it might stay in the interview. But as soon as this all polished up and everything, I'll send the link to you. Please share it to all your socials if you possibly could.
Great, man. I appreciate you guys. It was a fun interview.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for taking part.
And thank you for letting me bug you for the last couple days.
Yeah, that's all right, man.
It's been great.
Hey, same here, man.
All right, I'll be in touch with you in about 4 weeks. I'll have the link sent to your email. Sound good?
Great. Sounds good, man.
Take care, man.
Right.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
escape the grip of nights. If they ever take from you, then you plug out both their eyes. They roll the dice. Take your chances.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.